Good morning, good morning, good morning. No April Fool's jokes for me. Not today. Happy April 1st, 2025. Ah, dang it. Stop it. Stop it. Trying to see if the streams are live. Are the streams live? It looks like they are. Come on. Live. All right. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Q1 is done. Q2 is new. And we are back at it. Bright and early. Ready to take on the tasks of the day. I just finished out my to-do list for the day. And I think I can get 2 of them done in the first hour after the stream. We'll see. Yesterday was a rough day, man. I had a lot to get done, and I had a deadline last night. I made the deadline, but not as polished as I had hoped. What? That's all right. That's all right. Figure it out. Take it on. So my name is Keith. I am a professional developer. I have been for over 30 years. The vast majority of that was working on the web, making web applications and web sites in the early days. Currently, I am managing a coding school and have been doing that for almost 4 years now. 4 years, I don't remember. Somewhere around there. Helping other people learn new skills. And some people break into the industry. Those people have been very focused on getting better jobs or getting new jobs. And I created the stream as a way to help them out, as an accountability partner to be hanging out with. To help them stay consistent about getting those job applications out. So this is that. If you're in the job market and you've been struggling and you're not getting any word back and you're not being consistent, just show up here. Just get up in the morning, get a caffeinated beverage, maybe even take a shower before you get to the stream, depending on where you are. I am in Austin, Texas, broadcasting from my home in Austin, Texas, from 8 to 8:30, Monday through Friday. I have been doing it since January 1st, and I'm going to continue to do it weekdays, as long as you'll have me, as long as there's somebody out there watching. So if you know anybody who's in the job market, who's looking to increase their earning and get a better job, let them know about my stream, and I'll be a place to come hang out. So we do 2 things on the stream. The first thing we do is we look at the job numbers. I check those every day, Monday through Sunday, and then we talk a little bit about news going on in tech. So let's get to it. Let's look at those job numbers. So we got 3 graphs here. The first one is the last 7 days, the last 6 months, and the last year of tracking data that I have been tracking. This is JavaScript developers, and is a good indicator of the trends that are going on in the web world, the wider web world. And we'll see. We've had a rough week. Stock market has had its, another week of sliding. We had, as we'll see in one of the news stories, the worst month in a few years. I mean, the worst month in a few years in the stock market. All this uncertainty in the wider world is making companies nervous. When they're nervous and they can't reasonably imagine what the next 6 months are going to look like, they're less likely to invest in growth, which means more butts and seats, more employees that are doing the jobs to grow the company. So, as I said, the last week has been a bit rough, and I was hoping it was kind of turning around yesterday, but it dipped again today. So, it is what it is. When we look at the last 6 months, we'll see that things are roughly within the margin of error, about the same as they were 6 months ago. If we look at the last year, they're definitely down from where they were in the last year, but it's relatively flat. So, not great news in terms of growth in our industry, but there are new jobs being posted every day, and there are people getting jobs every day. So, we just have to be consistent. We have to be focused. We have to be on top of it. We have to be working all the angles, and that's what we got to do. Focus on the things we can control. Control. All right, if you have any questions about working in tech, about getting a job in tech, about the market as it is, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm happy to take a break and chase a rabbit down a hole, talking about whatever you want to talk about. But failing that, let's just get into the news. There's a job board on LinkedIn, so I'm on LinkedIn every day, but I'm also there checking out the news feed that they have, and there's always a handful of stories every day that are oh, and it is April 1st, so you're going to see a lot of April Fool's jokes today. There, I already got. I woke up, was bleary-eyed, I turned on YouTube, and one of my YouTubers were like, "I'm quitting. I'm done." Like, they got me. For like 4 seconds, but they got me. They do have a nice news feed there. Let's hit a couple of the stories that caught my eye this morning. We talked about this yesterday. It's official. OpenAI has closed their $40 billion funding round, which puts their valuation at $300 billion. They're the largest valued company in the history of the planet. OpenAI has closed its round and become the most raised private technology company ever. SoftBank led the group. They get a $10 billion infusion immediately, with $30 billion by the end of 2025. But there is a caveat. It seems that $10 billion of that will disappear if AI does not convert to a for-profit entity. As we talked about yesterday, that won't be an easy thing to do. If it were easy, it would have happened already. There's been talk about that happening for a couple of years now, and they haven't been able to pull the trigger on that. So I don't know all the ins and outs. I've read some articles about it, but I don't know all the ins and outs of the machinations of what that would look like. But now they have a $20 billion incentive to figure it out. So, look for that news later this year. If they have to pay off a whole bunch of people, they got the cash to do it now. Let's grease the skids and get this thing done. So, we'll see. Stocks, as I said, logged the worst quarter since 2022. They capped off the worst quarter, not the worst month, but the worst quarter since 2022, with investor sentiment roiled by concerns over Tariffs and mounting fears of big tech stocks may be an AI-driven bubble. The S&P has dropped 4% this year, while the Nasdaq slumped over 10%. The tech giants that drove the market to record highs in recent years are now dragging it lower. The market beyond big tech is holding up reasonably well. Well, one of the things that's not as publicized, the last couple of years, the runs and the numbers being what they were in terms of the stock market, were mostly bolstered by the Mag 7, the Mag 10. Those top tech stocks were making so much money that while the whole rest of the stock market was flat or losing money, but they were making so much money that it still drove the overall numbers up. So, it's a bit of a house of cards. If the whole market is essentially being buoyed by a dozen stocks, and something happens to those, and they're all in one sector, and something happens to that sector, it's not good news for the markets. My son is in high school, and he's a senior in high school, and they do that thing where they give you fake money and they play the stock market. And I have I got my kid's little kind of debit card. It's like one of those kind of made for kids debit card many years ago, and they added a feature where they're like, hey, you can actually trade stocks. It helps them save money and the like. And then they added this stock trading feature, and my son came to me and he's like, I want to trade stocks. I was like, what do you know about trading stocks? He's like, well, we're taking it in class and doing it with fake money and stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll give you $50. Here's $50. This is a year ago. And he put all $50 on Amazon stock, and didn't do anything about it. And I can see in the app when I'm having to transfer money to him and stuff, what his stocks are doing. And his stocks have been up at one point like 75%. I think it's at 43% or something like that now. That one stock has just been going crazy, whereas my Roth IRA has made like 7% in the last year. So, life is what life is. So he's a great stock picker, my son. He's got a big future in front of him. Immigrants in tech warned on travel. So many of these stories coming out now. Excuse me, I'm congested. 1 second. So many of these stories about people, going to a wedding and coming back and getting snagged at the airport, being deported. This is not a political stream. No interest in doing a deep dive into the politics of what's going on. But I've worked with a lot of H-1B visas over the years, working in tech. I made a lot of good friends who were on H-1B visas. And, to think that they might have had a vacation. Oftentimes they will go for 3 weeks, a month to India or wherever to go spend time with family. And think that they had, a vacation planned, and they go off to go see their family, and then they come back and they're denied re-entry. Yeah, not not good. Not good. Law firms say rejection rates for high-skilled visas may increase amid the Trump administration's restrictive stance on immigration. Reducing visas for these workers could hurt the U.S. tech industry's competitive standings. CEOs of Google, Uber, and NVIDIA are all immigrants. Yeah. And Tesla and SpaceX. Don't forget to throw those in there too. Fractional CEO Elon Musk is also an immigrant. And what's the second order effects, right? Like these people come here and they get educated here. They tend to be people of upper middle class or wealthy people who can afford to send their kids to the United States. They get it. They get an education and they stick around and they help build these companies that have been so instrumental in, again, keeping the stock market up. And say we start to just say, like, all right, no H-1B visas. In the short term, you could say, like, well, that's good for us if we're, U.S. citizens born and raised here who are looking for a job in tech in the short run. That might be more opportunities for us, which is what this whole America First, talk is about. But now what we've done is we've trained them in America in the ways that it is. We've given them a front row seat to building some of the largest tech companies in the world, and then we send them all back to their countries. What does that look like in 2 years and 3 years and 5 years when they aren't contributing to make our companies better, but they're going off and starting their own companies with all the knowledge that they learned here, and then these competitive applications and businesses pop up in India and Japan and China and all over the world. Then that's an existential threat to the United States and its dominance in tech. A lot of short-term thinking going on right now. Lots of short-term thinking. How are we doing on time? We're doing all right. Okay, I came across this yesterday. It was really interesting. State of performance enablement, AI, and the employee experience, balancing opportunity and anxiety. They put out this report. It's on how AI is shaping the modern workplace. And they got lots of graphs about AI adoption in the workplace. Essentially, AI adoption is significantly higher at the top of the organization. Individual contributors, the people on the front lines in the trenches, only about 20% are utilizing AI daily. Managers, 31%. I would think that number is low. I get the 21%. But managers do a lot that could really benefit from AI in terms of writing, creating reports, all that stuff. And so to say that only 1 in 3 managers are taking advantage of that seems a little low to me. Executives, yeah. Again, they're at the top of the food chain. They got the money to pay for all the models and to play around with it. They're hearing all this story about how if you don't embrace it, you're going to fall behind. So they've got the most time and the most money to invest in learning about AI and how to use it effectively. So, and there's also the FOMO that happens, with all the hype. So that makes perfect sense. Feelings about AI by frequency use, very positive. If you use it daily, 80%, you're very positive. I use it daily. I am generally speaking very positive about AI. If you only use it once or twice a week, less. In other words, the less you use it, the less optimistic you are about it, uh, which is interesting, right? It could go the other way. It's like I spend all this time with it, and now I know what the real threat is. Now I'm really concerned about it, right? But it's not that. It's when you don't understand a thing that you're fearful of it, which is interesting. Um, AI is accelerating productivity, but strategic potential is stuck in first gear. Overall, employees told us that AI has great untapped potential, as 93% of daily AI users say they believe there are ways AI could help them help them at work that they are not currently using. Yeah, I mean, in general, this is like such a new tool that keeps improving at a rate that is hard to keep up with. If you were looking at these AI tools a year ago and trying things, and it does a really crappy job of it, and you maybe get stuck in that with that opinion, like, oh, it's good for this, but it's not really good at that. And then you wait, and then you try it 6 months later or a year later, and hey, guess what? It's actually pretty good at that thing it wasn't good at a year ago. Like, this is the speed at which this stuff is moving. So yeah, daily AI users see more potential for AI. Yeah. Only 46% use AI for strategic tasks, of which a mere 22% use it for strategic planning, and about the same percentage leverage it for creative work. Most employees rely on AI for routine tasks like drafting communications, data analysis, and while transformative opportunities for strategic and creative work are more often overlooked. But that really goes to the fact that, only the thing about it is AI and LLMs in particular is they certainly can be very beneficial for strategic tasks. But they're also less effective at helping senior people in a particular industry, right? They're most effective at helping junior and mid-level people in a vertical, right? So if you're a mid-level or junior level person and need some strategic help, like, it's going to be better at that aspect than you are. But the problem is that most of those people aren't given a bunch of strategic work to do, right? The strategic work happens at the highest level, and the people who have worked a whole career, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, to get to where they are, they don't find as big of a benefit in it, because what it's doing is just giving you kind of average, low-hanging fruit advice, which for the low-end person seems amazing, but for the high-end person who's very experienced and good at what they do, it's just not as beneficial, right? Daily AI users see more potential for AI. Managers, employees, individual contributors. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, the other thing too is it's completely upending workflows. In some aspects of it is an easy drop in, like, oh, it used to be I'd spend an hour doing emails and drafting letters, and I'm not a great writer, and so I can't get very many of them done in an hour, and I'm not super happy with my output. Now all of a sudden with AI, I'm getting twice as many emails handled in the same amount of time, and their quality is overall better. That's an easy kind of drop in. But to utilize it in other aspects of your work, in terms of research, in terms of planning, in terms of automation, that's a real shift in the overall workflow. So You have to really change a lot about the way that you've done your job. And in a time when, uh, learning any new skill slows you down, right? Like, oh, I'm not a touch typer. And I've never, in 30 years as a professional developer, 30 plus years, taken off for 4 months and taught myself how to uh, touch type because I've been working that whole time. And every time I was like, oh, maybe I should learn how to type because I'm a professional programmer, I tried it for a few days and I'm like, this is so slow. I'm not feeling productive. I'm not feeling like I can do very much. So sometimes you gotta shift it into low gear in order to learn the skills so that you can get into the high gear. And most people, myself included, are too short-sighted with that, or at least just don't have the time to invest, or don't make it a priority. So, such as it is. AI laggards plan to stay while AI superstars look to leave. This is a thing. I was talking to my friend the other day, um, who got a return to office notice, and he might it's been a remote job. He doesn't work in the city that the company lives in. So if they don't give him an exception for his return to office, he's going to be laid off. It's still kind of being reviewed, his request to get the exception. So for right now, he's got a job, but at any minute they could just go like, nope. So return to office for everybody. Sorry, you're laid off. Right? So he's very concerned about all this stuff. And I said, the thing about it is companies going forward are going to need individuals who really understand AI and the AI tools as they develop. They need to be on top of that to get the most out of it. But they also need employees who have deep technical knowledge in a particular given sphere. Because, again, that deep technical knowledge is the stuff that AI doesn't do particularly well. If you've got 10 years of experience in an industry, you're going to be able to use AI more effectively and efficiently than somebody who's, just fresh out of school. If you say, hey, build me this application, but you've never built an application before, and you happen to be working in an industry that's highly regulated, and you don't understand all the regulations, you might build an application with AI's help, and it might perform what you think is necessary. But if it doesn't meet all the governmental regulations, the industry regulations, it's a non-starter, right? You need somebody who has deep technical knowledge in an industry, combined with the ability to utilize these tools effectively, right? And so, again, I can take a 20-year-old and teach him all the latest AI technology in a very short amount of time, and they can stay on top of those latest ones. But I can't teach them 10 years of technical, deep knowledge in an industry. I can't. It's easier to find these people who've already been working in industry and get them to sit down and retrain and learn these new AI tools. And if you only have one of those things, if you have the deep technical knowledge, but you're not as interested in learning the AI stuff, or if you're an AI ace and you don't have the deep technical knowledge, you're just not going to be as valuable. You're going to struggle. You won't have as many opportunities moving forward. So it is, both of these things are necessary right now. We need to become experts, and we need to embrace these AI tools. This is the world we live in. This is the world as it's changing and moving forward. All right, we done did it. It's 8:30, and it is time. It is time to wrap it up. We will be back in 23 hours and 30 minutes. Hope you have a great April Fool's Day, and you aren't, like me, fooled right out the gate. Be on your guard. Don't feel like a fool today, because people are going to lie to you. What's that all about? Happy Liar's Day. Congratulations. You just got fooled. You're gullible. What does gullible mean? You trust people? That they're telling you the truth? All right, whatever. Okay, guys. We will be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. And you guys